Chapter 2. That's just life one. Before we realized it, 30 years had passed since the invaders from the other world attacked our world. The TV show host then began rambling on and on. As if that wasn't irritating enough, the damn studio messed up their lighting so badly that I started to worry I'd be blind by the time it ended. Judging by how happily the kids next to me were smiling, seemingly without a care in the world, maybe they didn't find the lights too bright. Though humanity faced unprecedented danger, in the end, we managed to survive. I couldn't understand why the host was over-exaggerating and dramatically shaking a fist while holding the mic with the other hand. I guess that's just what worked, though. Not that I would have known. I hadn't watched TV in a long while. When I turned my head toward the screen behind me, I noticed a compilation of several past incidents playing. A large monster toppling the nation. A secret organization remodeling the citizens of an entire city into robots. A crazed magical girl turning the rain into drugs, claiming it would bring happiness to humanity. A superhuman nullifying all communication networks. The Spirit Queen trying to submerge the land by controlling the seas. A phoenix attempting to ignite all the volcanoes on Earth. An electronic brain piloting a large robot for its final stand in the Pacific Ocean. Countless dangers had nearly brought the world to an end. As the video played, a few scenes went by that made me realize how fortunate I was to have survived those incidents. More importantly, though, watching the battles I had fought in filled me with a growing sense of pride. Didn't you also participate in that fight, Uni? One of the magical girls nearby asked another. Yeah, I can't believe it's already been 2 years. Isn't it about time you retired then? You've already been active for 3 years. I want to, but my story isn't finished yet. How much more do you have left? Just the final boss now. I'm so jealous. I still haven't even seen the top brass of my story. You know, the way I think about things is a lot different now that I'm nearing retirement. I want you to have fun and not have any regrets. Okay? Yes, Uni. My excitement quickly died down while the magical girls around me rattled on. Their nonstop chatter irritated me more than anything else, and it wasn't like I could block my ears while I was right next to them in the studio. Looking across to the other side, I spotted male heroes quietly watching the screen. I wished they had put me there instead. The chatter around me continued, and I started to regret my decision to go there. The show hadn't even started yet, and I was already itching to leave. I seriously began contemplating leaving, but then I remembered why I had gone. My empty bank account, my fridge containing only ice. Recalling that travesty was enough to cool my head. Yeah, let's just hold out a bit longer. Free extermination pay has been stingy lately too, so I need to endure this. Compared to fighting enemies from the other world, this much is bearable. Another thought popped into my head. I do need some nicotine in my system, though. More time passed, and the videos finally ended, prompting the host to energetically clench their fist once more as they shouted. With that, we will now begin our show celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Otherworld invasion. First, we'll introduce the heroes who have been protecting us by their group. So that's why they grouped us by the type of hero we are. The only thing I was told about the show beforehand was that it was a talk show inviting both retired and active heroes. Leave magic to them. The cute and adorable magic girls. We have 4 magical girls here with us today. It was us from the start. Why did it have to be the magical girls? I love you, everyone. Thank you for your support, forever and always. Cute. With a heart full of justice. The girls beside me began striking poses for the camera, trying to appeal to the public. It was definitely embarrassing, but it was also undeniably advantageous to do so. I wondered if I should do something to appeal to the viewers as well, but the moment had already passed, and I ended up simply smiling and waving. Those in the know would have already known about me anyway. The magical girls are as energetic as I expected. Let's move on to the next group now. The talk show smoothly progressed and delved into a segment with questions for the retirees about what they'd thought during their active days, how they were doing, and other related topics. Have there been any inconveniences from retiring and losing your power? the host asked one of the heroes. Not particularly. It was a borrowed power, after all. I remembered him. He was the leader of the Morphing Rangers during the very early days. As the Red Ranger, he merged with a robot in his final battle to deliver devastating punches. I'd been quite close with him at one point, but I couldn't recall exactly when we lost contact. I heard that you put a lot of effort into training your powers. Don't you think it's a shame to have lost them all? The host continued. The hero shook his head. My powers might have disappeared, but I was able to keep the body I trained. In fact, I'm still much stronger than the average person. I see. Well, here's the next question. There have been several rumors about you since you went into retirement, but could you please tell us what you've been up to? I chose to go abroad and volunteer to aid regions impoverished by the Otherworld's attacks. I had opportunities to earn money, but the UN's pension was more than sufficient for sustaining my lifestyle. Ah, pension. That dreamlike word whizzed by my ear, causing me to fall into thoughts of my own retirement. There were people who'd started around the same time as me who were comfortably receiving their pensions over there, so why the hell was I still active? Ah, you're living your life exactly as people would expect from a retired hero. Lastly, could I ask you to say a few words to your juniors? The retired hero grabbed the mic and took a moment to gaze at all the active heroes. With his eyes shining, he began his speech. The work you are doing is difficult and exhausting. Some of you might be fighting alone, while others have their comrades. He started with a firm, strong voice, speaking oft-heard phrases that were imbued with the weight and honesty of a surviving hero from an earlier era. The speech continued. I'm sure all of you have failed at least once, and I'm even more sure that all of you have, at least once, been chained by somber thoughts, questioning why you, of all people, were chosen. The retired hero grew more passionate. The world only wishes to see your bright exterior. They wish to see you as heroes, as superhumans who have transcended humanity. However, we, know the truth. You are humans and you struggle with your own pain and difficulties. All of my mental pain is from my empty bank account, though. Whenever you are in pain, whenever you are going through a difficult time, I want you to remember this. Your seniors faced similar challenges and overcame them. If things get tough, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We may have lost our powers, but we still have many ways to support you. He then took a second scan through the invited active heroes. The others returned his gaze with eyes full of inspiration and awe, but I just gave him an indifferent look, not really caring too much. I'm already mentally fine. I'd rather you just share your pension with me. He deliberately took his time with his next words, ensuring he locked eyes with each of his juniors. The heavy weight of protecting humanity does not rest on your shoulders alone. I hope you never forget that you have your comrades, us, and our future juniors with you as well. Going over each person one by one, his eyes inevitably reached me. His righteous gaze exchanged a look with my indifferent stare. Initially, his eyes moved on as he failed to recognize me, but then he quickly looked back as if he'd sensed something extremely out of place. His jaw dropped, and his expression seemed to ask, "What are you doing here? What the hell do you want? I still haven't been able to retire yet. I don't know why I'm here either. All right?" The old hero continued to stare at me, looking completely baffled, and the people around us took notice. "Who is she?" someone asked. "That's him, the magical girl who's been active for 30 years. Ah, I heard rumors about him. Magical Bloody, who turns monsters into body bags. He's real." My official hero name was Crimson Hammer, but it was still embarrassing to be called something like that. The commotion steadily grew louder. Finally, the host, seizing the moment, struck an exaggerated pose and called out, "Oh, the magical girl over there must be none other than Crimson Hammer, the longest active magical girl. Please, come up onto the stage." Damn it! Without any other choice, I stood up and made my way to the stage. I brushed past my old friend, who gave an awkward laugh, as if to show he hadn't intended for things to turn out that way. It didn't matter, though. I could always complain to him afterward. I sat down on the cushy seat on stage. The host laughed and asked, Would it be all right if we asked you a few questions? Crimson Hammer? Please just call me Haram. My name is Haram Lee. That's surprising. I can't believe you're using your real name instead of your hero name. Is there a particular reason behind it? What do you think? It's embarrassing. Instead of telling the truth, I said, I've been active for so long that my nickname feels outdated. I don't really like it that much anymore. I see, I understand. The host nodded a couple of times, as if empathizing with me. Honestly, I found their nicknames embarrassing and childish too. But since the host accepted it, I supposed it was fine. Then let's move on to the next question. You have been active for 30 years, a record that no other country comes even close to breaking. Mr. Lee, what are your thoughts on the matter? What the hell am I supposed to think about it? None of my top brass are showing up, so I'm stuck beating up enemies from other stories. I remained outwardly calm and said, I'm happy that I've been able to be a hero of justice for so long. However, recently, I've also been hoping for more enemies from my story to appear. When was the last time an enemy from your story appeared? The host asked. You really had to hit the sore spot, didn't you? I inwardly grimaced. The last one was an elite army that invaded 10 years ago. It's definitely been quite a long time. If every enemy from my story ends up being rather strong, I'd prefer it if they didn't show up at all. Contrary to what I was saying, I thought, could the top brass and final boss both appear tomorrow at the same time, please? I just want to retire. The host nodded along, seeming to accept my answer, before receiving a slip of paper from the staff with something written on it. Apparently, we found footage from that incident. Let's watch it together. I don't know if it's a good idea to show that video. Before I could intervene, a video began playing on the screen behind us. It was a dark night. I wasn't visible on the video at all, likely because they were filming from the air, but they definitely captured footage of the massive black tentacles writhing around. The camera panned to reveal smaller tentacle monsters from the otherworld overrunning an entire city. The massive black tentacles extended to claim the city as their territory, and the ground itself sprouted tentacles that wriggled in unison. The city appeared to be on the brink of falling into the grasp of the huge, tentacled monster. Crush, snap. The sound of flesh being smashed filled the air after a massive tentacle reaching into the sky tumbled down. Did you see that, everyone? Crimson Hammer is defeating the monsters from the otherworld. The reporter, filming from a helicopter, continued to comment as the camera zoomed in on me until I filled the screen. I was covered in chunks of flesh, and my blood-stained clothes looked unfitting for a magical girl. Even my trademark golden hammer had blood and flesh stuck to it. It was to the point that it had lost its golden luster. In the video, I expressionlessly swung my hammer, relentlessly turning the large tentacles and the smaller tentacle monsters into meat. I continued forward, mass-producing corpses as I went. The camera then panned to the huge tentacle monster embedded in the center of the town with smaller tentacles branching outward from it like roots. After I finally made it there, I took a stance, readied myself, and took a wide, powerful swing with the hammer dyed red in blood, annihilating the massive enemy. It would have been nice if it ended there, but the shockwave from the hammer's impact continued forward and destroyed faraway houses before continuing farther still and sweeping away the filming helicopter. The reporter and other staff on board screamed as the video abruptly ended. Though the video was done playing, the studio remained completely silent. It was a natural response, though. Who wouldn't be silent after being forced to watch a brutal slasher film without warning? The host, seemingly at a loss for words, blankly stared at the black screen. Ah! I inwardly sighed. This is definitely going to be remembered as a broadcast accident. Did they really not check the video beforehand? How could they just let it play like that? The one thing I was sure of, though, was that my recently forgotten name would probably start being mentioned online again.